Alright, so this is my 1989 Ranger. It's a 2.3 liter 5-speed rear-wheel drive unit, and I picked it up for 500 bucks a little while back, kind of as an experience project. I really just wanted to see how much vehicle you could get for $500. And the reason I kind of picked the Ranger is just the overall simplicity of it. Being a rear-wheel drive unit, there's not a whole lot going on, and the utility of it as well. Now, I drive this vehicle about 60 miles a day, round trip to work, and I put about 10,000 miles on it. I worked it over a little bit, and I have some YouTube videos of some of the things I've done with the dual ignition plug mod, and just some very basic things, but it really didn't take a whole lot to get it right and on the road where I was confident in it. Again, it was, just a really simple vehicle, and that's why I picked it. But one of the main issues I had with it when I got it was that the tranny made noise when it was running, just sitting in idle, and when you push in the clutch, that would go away. So I'd kind of attribute that to a bearing issue, because when you push in the clutch, it disconnects the tranny from the engine. So when it's idling, you'd have a pretty nasty bearing noise, and when you go from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 in high RPM, it would want to grind. And so, that's not any good at all. And originally, the first time when I changed all the fluids in the vehicle, when I drained the tranny fluid, it was pretty dark, and there was a lot of metal particulate on the drain plug. So it had been pretty neglected. So anyway, I filled it up once, ran it, dumped the fluid to get any particulate out, and then I filled it up again. And this is where the video, we get to, I guess, the point of what I want to talk about today is this Lucas stop slip stuff. Now, I've used it with tremendous success in automatic vehicles in fixing a lot of very minor tranny issues. Obviously, if your tranny's broken, it's not going to fix it, but when it starts slipping and stuff, it kind of aids it to shift better, and you just get a little bit more mileage out of it than you would have before. It's a little bit more viscous than normal tranny fluid, but doesn't seem to cause any issues. Now, I noticed that it said can be used for light duty manual transmissions, which is kind of, light duty, debatable on a Ranger, probably more so for a car, but I thought, we bought this vehicle as a test mule, and we might as well give it a shot. So what I went ahead and did is, when I filled the tranny back up the second time, I put half a quart of this stuff in there. And I thought, well, hopefully the more viscous fluid at least would cushion some of that bearing noise, which it definitely did. Now when it sits here and idles, it's real quiet, and we'll just take a look in here. Now, forgive the state of the inside of the vehicle. Use it as, like I said, kind of a service vehicle, but you can't hear really hardly any bearing noise. Now, I don't know if you can kind of hear it. It's very, very faint, where before it was really, really loud. And so as far as that job, it seemed to have worked. So I'm a little bit more confident, a little more viscous fluid, and we're not going to lose what I assume is our input shaft bearing, and hopefully that stuff holds together, which we've put about 10,000 miles on the thing, and it's still going strong and not any issue. Now, what I was surprised is in the upper RPM, that grinding went away, and that's what I didn't expect. I just figured I'd shift at lower RPM and it'd be fine, but what I'm assuming happened here is the more viscous fluid helped with that friction aspect of the synchronizers, where it would kind of help get everything set up to go into the next gear. And it seems like it's really helped to do that, where the synchronizer is being, what I assume is the synchronizer is being worn out, where it would want to grind at higher RPM, because again, they work on friction for everything to speed up and catch up to go into the next gear smoothly. And when they're worn, that friction isn't necessarily going on, and they don't work too well, and you get the grinding scenario. But anyway, I think this stuff actually helped to really pad that as well, and now I can run the thing up to like 3,500, 4 grand, 4,500 from second to third and third to fourth, and we have no issues. It doesn't grind anymore. And the only reason I never made a video when I started this whole process is I didn't really think it'd make a difference. You know, I just figured, well, it says it's for light duty manual transmissions. And again, like I said, this is our test mule. But anyway, if you're experiencing some of those issues, the stuff, it's only like $9 from Walmart. And you know, you got any grinding in your tranny or anything like that where your synchros are worn, or in the case of this truck, which has that crappy Ford Mazda M5 OD unit, you know, that input shaft bearing noise or anything like that, it's kind of worth giving it a shot. The only adverse effects I've experienced from this is on colder days when the tranny fluid is, you know, obviously cold and the truck isn't warmed up yet. It's a little bit, you have to be more firm putting it in gear. It just doesn't slide right into gear perfect, but nothing too crazy. But overall, you know, I haven't really experienced any adverse effects. We've put 10,000 miles on this thing with this stuff in it, and everything seems to be going well. But again, I only put in half a quart. You just want to be careful with how much you put in, obviously, for that. But overall, you know, if you got an old beater bomb vehicle that it's not really worth pulling things apart and doing it quote unquote the right way, as you know I would do if this was my 65 Galaxy that I T5 swapped, or you know, any of that stuff, any of my Tremec stuff. You know, this, like I said, the amount of time and work it would take for a $500 vehicle just wasn't worth it, at least for now. So as I said, 10,000 miles and we're still running good, and I'm happy with it. Definitely worth a shot if you got some manual transmission issues. Now, of course, if your clutch is slipping and all that, you know, that's a whole different thing. That's between your transmission and your engine, and no amount of alteration to the fluid is going to fix that. But anything tranny, internal, you know, a little bit of bearing noise, some grinding gears at high RPM, definitely worth a shot. All right, here we go. We'll try and get a shot of getting onto the highway and getting up to highway speeds. And we'll pull through all the gears. Just take it to 4 grand. See that we got, for a 4-cylinder, everything seems to be working well. Pretty good power in the truck. And there we go. So runs very well, and like I said, it's returning really good gas mileage, and I'm extremely pleased with it for what I have in it. So anyway, that's pretty much it.